welcome to the House of Hoosier podcast. I'm your host, Guyton. Got a very special guest here with me, Yasir Rosemond, assistant coach with Indiana men's basketball, man. What's going on? Pleasure to meet you, man. Heard a lot about you, seeing the results of your work. How's it been, man?
Been good. Pleasure to meet you too, man. Was always a big fan of yours. Appreciate what you've done for IU, and hopefully we can get some guys in here like you that could carry that torch, man.
Absolutely. I think I see a good system forming, man. I've talked to some of the guys, had them on the show, really enjoyed them, man. And I just like to see them work and develop, man. Everybody, it's a microwave society now. Everybody want to be good tomorrow. But I feel like Indiana has a special group of young players that realize they're gonna continue to grow, man. So hopefully, I see some people talk. Hopefully, you can keep them in school and develop it, man. But I know it is.
Yeah, we got a few that may get out of here early, which is not always a bad thing.
Not always bad.
Hopefully we can, build some tradition, man, and try to get this thing back rolling like it was, when you was here, when Coach Knight was here, and even, some of those years with Coach Crean, because Coach Crean did a good job. And that takes nothing away from Archie, because, one thing about Coach Woodson, he always tells us coaching is hard at any level. I don't care what level it is. So it's a hard job, and you just you're trying to get 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and some of these guys, 21, 22, 23, trying to get them to play together, retain information, and go out there and, play hard every time. It's not very easy.
Absolutely, man. Hey, before we get started, man, I heard you played with my classmate, Captain Jack, man. What was it like playing with Steven Jackson in his younger, less philanthropic days, man? What was it like?
Steven Jackson was like really, really good, man. Like he was a point forward. That's what he was. Like he was special, and I don't think people realize how good he was. Obviously, he went through the stuff at Arizona and stuff like that. He had to go to junior college, but he was a great guy, great teammate. He was always a great teammate. He was a little rough around the edges. Like what you see is what you get. He's real. But he was a really, really good teammate, man. Really, really good player. Really good player. Like one of the first guys for me at 6'8" that could handle the ball like a guard, pass. He's a big time player.
Shout out to Steven, man. He's a 96 guy, so I always 96. Like people.
I'm a 95. I'm a 95 guy. Best class ever.
Okay, and he's always one who I want to keep up with. Shout out to his efforts, man, as he's leading social causes and social issues, man. But I thought that was interesting. I was like, as fired up as he was as a pro, I can imagine what he was as a young kid. Man.
Hey, you never wore your good tennis shoes when you're going to hang out with Steve, because you knew something was going to happen.
Right. It's going down. It's going down. No doubt. And so tell the people where you from, man. Where you from? What was it like growing up where you from? And how did those values growing up where you from affect you as you got older and begin to get into the sport of coaching and playing basketball?
I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. Graduated from high school in 1995, Frederick Douglass High School. My grandfather raised me, and my grandfather was probably, the things I like to talk about, he was one of the first 12 black firemen in the city of Atlanta. So I carry a last name, man, that means something to me. And at the end of the day, everything I do, I probably learned from him. I got my basketball from my dad, but I grew up with my grandfather, man, and my grandfather was just, he was a tough customer.
Right.
And, he woke me up every morning, 5 a.m, whether it was cutting grass, doing anything, learning how to change oil in a car, all those things, man. So I carry those values with me throughout my life. And it's funny, people tease me all the time, like, man, you get up at the crack of dawn, but I've been doing it since I was like 8. I was like 8 years old. So, but played basketball, went to Okaloosa Walton for a year, then transferred to Butler. That's why I played with Steve. Went on to Oregon, played at Oregon, played a couple of years overseas, probably about 3 or 4 years, different countries, Argentina, Brazil, Venezuela, just a couple of odd countries. You know how it is, AJ.
Absolutely,
You're trying to move around. But one day I had gotten to work out for the Atlanta Hawks, but I only got to work out because of one of my best friends, Sharif Abdul-Rahim. So, I went out there, worked out, And it was funny, man. I was in there and I was playing well. And you know how it is, AJ. You like, man, I know I'm better than some of these guys, but I came to the conclusion, man, if I wasn't going to get to Europe, because, you know, during the time that we were coming out, it was hard to get to Europe.
Absolutely,
you didn't just get to Europe. You know what I mean? I was sitting on the CNN steps. It's funny. After the little workout, and I was like, man, I want to go coach basketball, man. Because I always wanted to coach. I always had the desire to coach. So I called up my junior college coach, a guy by the name of Steve Eck. And I was like, Coach, I want to coach. He said, all right, come on down. You know, I took my money that I had made a little money overseas, went down there and slept on the couch, man. I slept on the couch for a year. And then the second year, got an apartment, ended up getting a job at Portland State for about a couple months, and then end up going to Oregon. And that's where I got my start. So I got my start at Redlands Community College in Oklahoma. Went to Portland State for a couple of months. Then my alma mater, my old college coach, Ernie Kent, called me. He was like, hey, I got a job for you. So I was operations for 1 year. Then I was coaching the rest of those years, man. So the rest is history.
Yeah. I mean, I want you to rewind a little bit, because what's important for me is I like to help people understand, especially young kids that aspire to be coaches or aspire to get in that profession, how what you do now as a kid and your upbringing and those values shape how you work out in that particular job field. So you kind of talked about getting up at the crack of dawn and just doing it and grinding. And before we got on this call, you was just telling me I'm still in the office and I'm grinding. But they don't realize that grind starts when you're young. You don't just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm about to grind and coach. It's like that. Those values that your grandfather instilled in you are with you every single day. And that's important for them to understand.
And then also, AJ, you know this, man, when you play basketball, when you play sports in college, whatever sport it is, there's things you have to do. Your life is structured. So that becomes the routine of your life. And, you know, whether you make it to the pros or wherever you make, like, there's a thing that's called bills that you got to pay.
Right, exactly.
So that's what makes you get up in the morning. But you get those values from, obviously, you get them as a young age. And then when you go play a sport, you know, you got to get up in the morning. You got to go to class. You got to go to study hall. You know, you got to be to practice on time. So those values help you as you get ready to grow and as you get ready to go out in society, man. I always say, you know, my job is to try to help these young men become functioning members of society. Whether they make it to the NBA or not, we got to be able to help them, because you know this, AJ, you were a great player. You were great. You know what I mean? You didn't have a long time in the NBA.
Right.
Probably should have more than some other guys. But at the end of the day, that wasn't the path that God had for you.
For sure.
So at the end of the day, what can you fall back on?
Right.
You know, you fell back on some of those values probably from, you know, your parents, Coach Knight, you know, all those coaches, you know, all the coaches that had touched your life, man. So those are the things that I try to express to these guys, man, because we had a guy by the name of Mario West come in and speak to the team the other day. And I told him, I asked him, could he give his number out? Because you know this as well as I know this. We got 13 scholarship players. Those guys are more likely to be Mario West, who had a cup of tea in the league, played a little bit overseas, was in and out, you know, in and out of the league, played about 4 years. They're more likely to be him than they are Kevin Durant, LeBron James, all those guys. So those are some of the things that I try to help these guys with, you know, and some of those values were taught to me by coaches, you know, my coach Ernie Kent, my coach Steve Eck, and I'm still learning. I'm learning from a great guy right now, like in Coach Woodson. You know, he's still instilling values in me at 45 years old. So it's
no doubt.
You're always learning, man.
Yeah, that's the great thing, man. I couldn't explain it no better. That's exactly the answer that I want the people to understand, like how those values and combined with that passion equals success. And I don't think people want to skip that part. Oh, we'll skip the value part.
They want to skip the hard part.
Yeah,
the hard
exactly.
Part. I tell people all the time, man, I slept on the sofa for a year.
Wow.
You know, and it was 4 other guys in the apartment. We all were trying to coach. We were coaching at a junior college. You know, the junior college coach was paying us out of our pocket.
Wow.
So you definitely had to have a passion. You know what I'm saying? You definitely had to see an end goal, because it wasn't easy. You know, I'm coaching in Oklahoma, El Reno, Oklahoma, man. I didn't know where the hell I was. You know, I was, you know, but I was trying to make it in the profession. So, you know, it's just like anything else, man. You got to work hard, man.
Absolutely. So you chilling in Oregon, man, and or where were you prior to Indiana?
I was at Alabama. I was at
So you're chilling in Alabama, and Mike Woodson gets the job.
Yeah.
Walk us through how that connected to you to get you to IU.
Okay, as everybody know, at Alabama had, little stuff go on with the FBI cases and all that stuff. I never had anything that went on. Sure. I wasn't a part of what they were trying to make me a part of. So for a year, I set out because I was still getting paid by Alabama because Avery Johnson had resigned. He was like done, and I still got paid for a whole year. Had the opportunity to go get a couple other jobs, but I didn't want to get Alabama any money back. Then COVID happened. COVID happened, and it was like, wow. Didn't really know. I was doing some things, working some guys out, kind of doing some pro workouts, doing some high school workouts. So it's funny, man. Like I went on an interview to SMU. Where should I go on the interview? I talked to a couple people, talked to Minnesota, just talked to a couple people. And one day Coach Woodson texted me, and we had mutual friend and Kenny Payne, who's my mentor. They worked together with the New York Knicks. And they, Coach may have a job open, man. He's looking at some other guys, man. But, I told him you would be a guy that would be interested in, and I think you can help him. Wow. And so Coach called me, talked a little bit. Then, I then talked to him for probably about a week. Then he hit me up one day and said, all right, I need you to come see me tomorrow. And I was like, all right. So I got to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to get there. I'm like, man, I got to get here, because usually when you do interviews, I don't think he knows this. When you do interviews, usually the school bring you out or whatever the case may be. I'm like, I don't even need that. I'm on the way.
Get my own way. I'm good.
Yes. So I get there, get a hotel in Indy, drive down, man, and it's kind of hit me because at the end of the day, it's like, man, this is Indiana.
Right.
I grew up in the 80s, man. Yeah. So I grew up watching, Indiana basketball. I grew up watching Bob Knight. You know what I'm saying? I remember what I was doing when Keith Smart hit the shot. Right. My father coached at Tennessee State during the 80s. I remember playing against Georgetown when I was there. You know what I mean? So I was watching basketball during that time, and Indiana was a school that was always on TV. They were always winning. So I grew to like Indiana.
Absolutely, yeah.
So driving down the road, man, I get here, I go in there, I talk to him, we hit it off, we had a good conversation, and he's touring me around, man, and I'm thinking about the history, man. I'm remembering my dad, because my dad won the national championship at Vincennes up the road.
Oh, wow.
Vincennes Junior College, yeah. Okay. So I know a lot about Indiana basketball just because my dad played at Vincennes. So I'm like, man, like it's hitting me. And then Coach bring me up in the office, man. He say, look, man, this is what I can do. These are the things that I need. These are, what I expect of you. But I'm gonna hire you. As long as you pass background check and do everything we need to do, I'm gonna hire you. And I literally, AJ, went in my car and I started crying.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. Because I was at a point in my life where I didn't know I would be able to coach in college again, just because of some of the things that had been said, whether they were true or not, which they weren't true. Yeah. But just because of that perception, I didn't know if I was going to get another job again. So for the Lord to bless me, with another opportunity at a place like Indiana, I mean, I owe it all to God, man. And obviously, and Woody just giving me an opportunity, giving me a chance, man. So that's how it happened.
It's a powerful story, man. And how people are connected, and how just your mentors are still looking out for you as you're going through a tough time, man. And you ended up right where you should be. When you're an assistant, man, and you're at a university as prestigious as Indiana or a Kentucky or North Carolina, how is it that you try to make an impact? Because we know, just from experience, assistants are normally on the road. They quiet. They don't say very much. They're not around, and they don't get credit when they lose. Or if you don't get credit when you win. You don't get nothing. You just there. You got to do all that grunt work, taking everybody around campus every day, telling the story of Indiana basketball. So what is your mindset of how you could make a major impact? Just you individually at Indiana.
Well, it's crazy because Woody, man, is he's different than most coaches. Woody makes you coach. Yeah. He wants you to be a part of it. It's like I'm in here right now working on Xavier, and it's like, hey, what are we gonna do tomorrow? What are we doing? What are we doing when we play Xavier? So he gives you that opportunity because he wants all us to become head coaches, and he has no ego.
Yeah,
you know, you work for a guy that doesn't have an ego, man, and a guy that's just a good person, and he is trying to help us get to where he is. You know, like he said, the last thing on his list is to win a title, win a Big Ten title in Indiana, and win a national title in Indiana. That's the last thing. That's the last thing for him, and he's trying to help us. So, you just make an impact by coming in here every day, man, trying to most of all be an example to these guys.
Right. Yeah.
Because I wore their shoes before. So I know some of the stuff that they're going through, even though, you know, obviously it's a lot different from when I was in college because they got phones, they got social media, they got all types of stuff. Like AJ, when we play, you know, we'll see ourselves on ESPN, but we have to go see the school newspaper.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
These guys, they scroll every day and they see different things, whether it's good or bad about them. So try to just kind of impact them in a positive way because there's a lot that people see and don't know about what they go through in the background.
Right.
You know, sometimes they may look at Twitter, man, sometimes, and, you know, people are going at them because people can say whatever they want to say at Twitter, but they may not even know what this guy may be going through. That's not even basketball related.
Right.
So just trying to, you know, have a positive impact on these guys, bring a positive spirit every day, and keep it real with them. You know, you know, they need to know what reality is.
Absolutely.
Like they got to understand something. Like AJ, you probably had, I don't know exactly how many points you had, but I know you had a lot of damn points in Indiana. And and you didn't have a long period of time in the NBA.
Right.
But you were a really, really, really good player, like a legend.
Right.
And sometimes it may not happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like it may not be a part of the plan. So I try to keep it real with them to try to understand, okay, you can go into coaching. You got to use some of these resources that's around here. I mean, our alumni base is outstanding. It's probably one of the best in the country.
Yeah.
So when you come in contact with these people, man, talk to these people, man. So those are the type of things I try to impact. And again, try to help these guys reach their dream as far as working them out and doing the things that are basketball related that, you know, that a coach is supposed to do.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but you talk about Mike Woodson's strong points as a coach. I know there was talk about his age and him being out of touch, being in the league for a long time and coming. So it was a lot of, you know, just kind of split 50-50 when he was brought in. But what have you seen that's been able to him to have some early success and get to these kids at this time period?
He's a great person, man.
Yeah.
He's a great person, and he's a real person.
Right.
Like he tells you the truth. He tells you like it is. He's not gonna sugarcoat it. He's just like the guy that coached him here. You know, that was one thing I always liked about Coach Knight. At the end of the day, I didn't know him. I actually met him when he coached at Texas Tech and found out he's probably one of the funniest people ever that I've ever met. Like, he's funny as hell.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's just like Coach Knight when it comes to, like, this is what it is. This is what we're going to do.
Right.
You know, he doesn't sugarcoat things. And from a recruiting standpoint, that's why he hired us to help him.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not like he's not a great person. It ain't like he can't talk on the phone.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, I'm 45. Guess what? These dudes don't want to talk to me either.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
You got to have stuff to sell, and what he sells is he's been in a place where all these kids want to go for 30. He's been there for 34 years.
Yeah,
you know, he coached a lot of guys. Now, when it comes to basketball, like, basketball is basketball.
Yeah,
you know, and when you think about it, his last probably 10 years in the NBA, what age were most of the guys that he was coaching? 19, 21, 22. So, you know, being out of touch, you know, some of that stuff is just, you know, it's just talk.
Yeah,
because I'll be honest with you, and like some of these times, sometimes I call a recruit, man, and I can't get 2 words out of him.
Right. Yeah.
And I still think I'm a little cool.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So you know, but just him being a genuine person, man, and just as far as X's and O's and getting kids to, you know, believe in what you're doing, because that's what coaching is, man. Getting these kids to believe in what you're doing. If you can get these kids to believe in what you're doing, they'll run through a brick wall for you. And we got a good group, man. You know, we got a good group of some guys that were, you know, that were left over. You know what I'm saying? That's a tribute to the last staff that did a good job of recruiting good kids, some good guys, and we've added some guys too. So, and the mix has been great. And coaches he knows when to push buttons, when to let up, and when to have fun, man.
Right.
And I think the guys trust him. You know what I mean? They really, really trust him. So It's been good
I
so
agree with
far.
that. Hey,
So
man, that sounds about right, man, from what I've been
yeah.
hearing. And
Yeah.
you know, you've been at Alabama, Oregon. How has recruiting at Indiana been different from those previous schools that you recruited? Have you had to have a different approach to recruit the Indiana basketball player?
Uh, it's been a little different just because, okay, at Alabama, we had a couple guys that went to the NBA. And as you know, AJ, that's what guys want to see.
They want to
We've
see.
had some guys from Indiana go to the NBA,
Yep.
but there hadn't been any in a while. So
Yeah.
what you sell here is, man, the tradition, man, and there's not many places where it's gonna be 18,000 fans. I don't care who you're playing. App State,
Mhm.
you know, I was here. I actually coached with Benny Seltzer at Sanford when he took the job when he left Indiana to go to
Okay. Yeah.
Sanford. I was on his staff, and I
Okay.
remember when we came back here, and we were little old Sanford, and it was 18,000 fans in there.
Yeah. Right. So.
So at the end of the day, you sell that tradition. You sell
Mhm.
Coach Woodson. You know what I mean? You sell our fans. You know, we got
Yep.
great fan support. And really, it's funny, man, when the outside looking in, back when I was at Alabama, even when I was at Georgia, you know, we had a couple of recruiting battles because I think OG came here. We was actually recruiting him at Georgia. And I just remember, like, Indiana still, even when they was going through those rough years, Indiana still always on TV.
Absolutely. So that's why
You
I
know,
went there.
yeah, you know, they're still always on TV, always on TV. So you're kind of selling like, look, man, all we got to do is get the players here. You know what I mean? We have everything that we need, you know, great fan support, great coaching, just tradition.
Yeah.
So that's mostly what you're trying to sell these guys. And it been great, man. I mean,
Yeah.
because Woody's been good, man. Woody's been good. I think we got a good staff. I think we've
Absolutely.
identified some guys that fit because I think I've said this on a couple of other podcasts. For everybody can't play it in there.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like even if you're a really really good player, everybody can't play here.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an easy place to play.
Right.
You know, it's a blue blood. You know,
Absolutely.
it is what it is. We may have teetered a little bit over the last couple of years, but it's a blue blood, and you
Mhm.
got a passionate fan base. So every person can't play here. Even
Exactly.
some of the best players in the country can't play here because it's different.
Yeah. The expectations
It's
are different.
different.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
You
So
got to have it on and off the court. Uh,
yes.
as you're trying to become one of the, get back into the upper echelon of having the top recruiting classes in the country, have you seen any consistent barriers? For example, when you missed out on a top kid, what are their reasons for not wanting to come to IU? Has it been anything consistent, or all these answers have been kind of different?
Well, I think some of it, especially when we go up against the Dukes, the North Carolina, and the
Yeah.
Kansas, the fact that they've had guys that are previously in it, that have recently been in the NBA.
I knew it.
So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing because
Mhm.
I always say this, we all got the same stuff, man. We all got fans, we all got a gym, we all got practice facility, we all got weight rooms. What is the separation? What
Yeah.
can separate? And a lot of times what's separated, especially from the upper echelon kids, is okay, how many pros have you had?
Yeah.
Because that's just their mindset. So we're growing in that department. I think we're gonna have some guys to get drafted. I think some of these guys that we've recruited over the couple of years, and even in this next class, we're gonna get some guys drafted. I think we play a pro style offense. So I think some of those things are gonna help. And hopefully, I always say this, man, we gotta get our blue blood status back.
Absolutely.
It ain't really lost, but we
Yeah.
gotta get it back, man, because
Yeah.
there was times when I was growing up, and obviously when you came to Indiana, that Indiana was Indiana, Duke, North Carolina,
Yep.
Michigan State, Kansas, all those schools. Like we were in there.
Yeah.
We got to get back to consistently making it to the tournament every year, man,
Every year.
and trying to win Big Ten titles, and
Absolutely.
just a consistent string of winning. You know what I mean? That's what we got to do, and that's what we're trying to do, man.
I always thought that the biggest adjustment for Indiana fans and people to make was to understand that the reason why the Indiana tradition was because a lot of the players were old. I mean, Coach Knight didn't have one and dones. He didn't have people. So we spent a period of time adjusting to that. And now I think it has come to a culmination of now people understand, like, oh, it's not going to be the same player for 3-4 years. You know what I mean?
No.
If they're two get good enough and we're recruiting at the level that we need to recruit, then they're going to leave. And
Yes.
now the challenge becomes, how do we replace them with somebody just as good? So I think the faithful is kind of settling in and starting to understand, like, this ain't Bob Knight era, because the rules changed. Everything.
Yes. And it's not easy, man. It's not easy.
It's right.
When you are so used to winning during those time periods. I mean, hell, I watched. Hell, I was a fan. You know what I mean? I get it, but it's different. You know, I say this all the time, man. A 1988 Ferrari is not the same as a 2022 Ferrari. It's just not. We don't use a key to turn a car on anymore. You know? Like, you push a button now. So you have to evolve. That don't mean we have to let go of the tradition, because the tradition is the reason why Indiana is Indiana.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
You just got to evolve and keep that coming with us. You know what I mean? So I think that's some of the things that I think we're all getting an understanding for, and you know, we all trying to bring that old in with the new, because this place is not, you know, this place without guys like you, man. Guys like Woody, you know what I mean? Scott May, all those guys, man. All those guys are important to Indiana. And you got to bring it all together, you know, old with the new, and just take off, you know.
I love that. I love that. Let's talk about the team a little bit. As a coaching staff, you sat down at the end of the year and kind of made a decision to focus on certain things. What were those things that you felt at the end of last year that you felt the team needed to be able to do to catapult back into that blue blood status, get back into the top 15, get back into Big Ten title contention and making the tournament?
Man, a big part of that is big fella coming back, man. Trace, you know,
for sure.
Come back, you know, that helped a lot. Obviously, I think we added some talent. Nothing to take away from those guys that helped us get to the tournament last year, because those guys were good players. They were good teammates, and we really appreciate those guys. Obviously, you know, we concentrated a lot on shooting and offensive things, but, you know, make no mistake about it, man. Our bread is buttered on defense. You know, because we like to try to get out and run and try to create opportunities. I think we got a little bit more athletic with this team, but you know, we concentrated on obviously offense and shooting the ball and kind of getting guys confidence. And as you can see over these past couple of games, we've shot the ball better. And I think some of that is, you know, guys getting used to playing meaningful basketball.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like every game means something in Indiana.
Exactly.
It is what it is. You know what I mean? So some guys are at places where I don't want to say it wasn't meaningful basketball, because obviously their careers were there, but they didn't have the pressures that they had of playing in Indiana. Like I said before, you know, it's just not an easy place to play. So at the end of the day, I think our guys have matured. You know, I think, you know, they've worked their butts off. I mean, they heard the naysayers about them not being able to shoot and things of that nature, and they worked their tails off. But that's a part of it. So we really worked this hard on conditioning. You know, coach is really, really big on conditioning, and, you know, just kind of trying to mesh and try to build a winning culture, man. You know, you got to get the culture back. You know, Indiana was always a winning culture. You know what I mean? You always knew you guys going to be, or us, were tough, hard-nosed, and know how to play basketball, share the ball, great team. So basically, we've been talking about the culture. We've been talking a lot about the culture and trying to get the culture back.
Awesome, man. That was going to be my next question. From year 1 to year 2, what were some of the notable cultural changes that you've seen in this team growing from year 1 to year 2?
We got a chance to win, man. You know, we got a chance to. I think we went a stretch, AJ, where we lost 5 games in a row.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
our guys never folded, man. They never folded. You know, they came in, they continued to work, they stayed together, and we were able to make a run in the Big Ten. So we just really tried to just build off of that, you know, and get guys to understand, do you remember that feeling? That's a feeling Indiana hadn't felt in 6 years. Now, obviously, that COVID year, I think they probably would have made it to the tournament. But obviously, COVID happened. But for 6 years, they didn't feel that. And they were able to feel the fanfare. And it was, you know, we made it to the tournament. Even though it was a play-in game, we made it to the tournament. So, and the fans were excited. And we told, let's bottle that up and then try to catapult into the following year and understand and catch that feeling and get that feeling back. Because I talk about those guys that had been here before, man, blood, sweat, and tears, man. Like, what is your legacy going to be?
Right.
This was something that was always, back when we played, because we were going to be in school for 4 years.
Absolutely.
Me and you, we weren't trying to go to the league and play against Isaiah Thomas. You know what I mean? Not as a freshman. We're like, I'm cool.
No, ain't ready for that one.
But yeah, exactly. But trying to build, just build off of last year and just kind of bottle that feeling up. And the guys that had been here before, what's your legacy gonna be, man?
Right.
Like AJ, you got a legacy here.
Yeah.
Most guys that come to Indiana, they leave a legacy.
Yeah.
What is our legacy gonna be? You could be the group that gets Indiana back going.
Yeah.
That's a legacy. You'll be remembered forever. Now, the one thing about basketball players here, everybody's always remembered, whether you lost, won, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But you can create something here that's very, very special if we can get Indiana back going. So that's kind of what we sold those older guys, man, and they kind of are buying into it and kind of pushing towards trying to get this, trying to get Indiana back, man.
Absolutely. You talked about those deficiencies that you felt like y'all had. You feel like you plugged all the holes where you needed to plug them from last year. And I know we've shot the ball well. After the first game, we shot better the second game. Do you feel like it's trending in the right direction?
I think it's trending in the right direction. I also think we got, multiple ball handlers.
Absolutely.
As you know, when you got guys on the court that can, create shots for others, that may not be able to make, create shots on their own, it helps them. So being able to get penetration, now you got, you got two guards in Xavier and Jalen. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Both can penetrate and make plays for others. You got Gallo coming off the bench that can make plays.
Yeah.
Scoop is getting a lot better at, playing off the dribble. So now we're creating, even though we created the third most open shots in the country last year, I think this year there'll even be more open and even be more opportunities for guys, to get wide open shots and, easier shots.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. I believe so. I believe that you did plug the holes. I saw some confidence in shooting the basketball and not getting down on themselves, taking shots when they open, man. I think that's the most important, taking shots. You got to take them to make them. You can't worry about what Coach Woodson going to say.
You got to take them.
You got to take them, and you deal with the result. Like, it's a good shot, man, you live with it. But I saw a lot of times last year where guys were just – what I don't like as in basketball, what I want to see is guys play free-flowing basketball. I don't like to walk it up, hold it up, let's run X. If you're doing that, it's gonna be a struggle to score in the Big Ten because the preparation and the coaching is it's the best in the country when it comes to X's and O's and preparation. As you said, you was preparing for a game right now. They're not doing it to that level in any other conferences. Even when I played, it was Izzo, it was Bob Knight, it was Clem Haskins, it was Luke Henson, it was Gene Katie. I mean, that's why it's hard to score. I mean, everybody knows exactly what you're doing. But when you get players that can make plays without you having to tell them, man, this lane is open.
Go make a play.
I'm attacking it and I'm making the play. So I see that a lot more, especially with JHS, and Xavier playing together, man. I like what I see. How involved are you with the development of players? Because you guys people don't know, you guys have a lot of responsibility as assistant coaches. You babysitters, you overseers, you have to do tours every day. You have to be on the phone.
Parent counseling,
Parent counseling. You got to talk everybody off the ledge. And then you got scouts to do. And then you have to, then you got your own family to deal with.
Yes.
So it's like, how do you balance and then you got to go on a road, see people playing open gyms, games, summer's tied up. It's a 360 day a year job. How do you balance the recruitment and the player development piece?
It's something that we're big on, man. So, you're going to figure it out, And Woody always gives us time. He especially gives us time during practice. You always have time left over after practice. We got guys get in the morning in between classes in the afternoon. So we always find time to try to help these guys out. And one thing that Woody is big on, he's a player's coach. We could be in a meeting in there, man, and if it's time we need to watch some film with the guy or just go in there and get in the gym with the guy, because I think that's where you gain the most confidence in guys now, because they like being in the gym. And sometimes they may be down and out and they might want to tell you something. It's harder to get them to say it on the phone or in the office. You kind of get out there and you shag some balls with them and get a little workout going. And they kind of tell you what's on their mind. So we, Woody gives us a lot of times because he's big on, player development. So he's big on, helping guys get better. He believes that's a part of coaching. He think that's a big part of coaching is helping guys get better. So we make the time, man. I mean, this is a job that requires a lot of your time.
Absolutely.
It requires a lot of understanding from your family.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you get your joy out of seeing guys be able to reach their dreams and kind of be happy and kind of, play well. It's a joy.
Yeah, definitely. When you're looking at this team, man, and you talk about player development, besides TJD, because he gets the most press, he's the best player, XYZ, who would you look at and say, I expect that kid to make the biggest jump based on the amount of work and time that they put in from the moment that buzzer rang in the NCAA tournament, and from your own eyes and perspective that you see should be a player that make the biggest jump based on their work ethic?
You know what's funny, man? I think Race had a great summer this summer. He really worked hard on his shot. I think he's more confident in his shot. I think Xavier, man, just, after the year he had, at the end of the year, he went through some roller coasters, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. He was getting booed. Obviously, Woody was a little upset about that, but at the end of the year, man, he was playing great. Right. And this summer he was just working. It's crazy, man. Like all our guys have been working. Like everybody has been like just in the gym grinding. So I can't really put my finger on just one person, but I think we're gonna see a lot out of Race. We got some really good freshmen, man. We got some talented freshmen that's not even playing that much, man. That, at the end of the day, we're pretty deep. We're a pretty deep team. Hopefully we can get these guys to understand, the main goal. The main goal is winning. And as you know, man, when you win, everybody gets seen. Because everybody wants a winner on their team. So absolutely, whether it's wherever you get to go, overseas, whatever the case may be, you can be on a winning team and average 8-9 points and get drafted. Because a lot of times that's where these guys' mind go. So if you're good and you're successful, trust me, I know a lot of dudes that average 20 and 25, which that never played in the league. So it's about winning. You know what I mean? So. But I can't really just pinpoint one guy, AJ, because they've all been working hard, and that's not me just blowing smoke, man. They've all put the time in. Like you can see Gallo shooting the ball confidently now. You know what I mean? So they've done. I think they bought into what we're trying to do here, man. I really do, and absolutely. I hope that translates into some wins because, it don't mean you're gonna win all the time just because you work hard.
Because you work hard, right? Hey, man.
And just because everybody say we're gonna be good, that don't mean you're gonna be good. I think we have the talent. I think that's what we're pushing for. We pushing these guys, and we love the expectation because that's what it's about. Now, that's what you want here at Indiana. You want to have that expectation, man. You want to have the expectation to win because the alternative is don't nobody think you're gonna win anyway. So
exactly right.
Yeah.
You touched on those fabulous freshmen, man. I'm assuming you were one of the leaders in the push, JHS and Malik Renew. Like, to walk us through, like, what does it take to get a commitment from two talented young kids like that, and take us through the roller coaster journey, because I know there were times you was like, man, that wasn't a good conversation.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna call again tomorrow. Let me see.
Yeah, I think with Jalen, obviously Coach King was the lead. But it's funny with the way we do things, man. We all call each other's recruits.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
we all just band together, man, and be like, okay, this our guy. We got to get on him. We got to talk to him every day. I talk to his mom a lot. Coach talked to his mom a lot. We know it's so many people that you have to touch, from an uncle to a cousin. You know what I mean? It's so many people that you touch. It's hard to do it by yourself.
Right.
It's really hard to do it by yourself. But Coach King was the lead. And then when it came down to Malik, man, that was all Jalen Hood-Shafino.
Yeah, he did.
Because he had committed to Florida. Obviously, we had a relationship with him. And we tried to recruit him. But at the end of the day, man, Jalen did such a good job with him when he left Florida, man. It was just like, obviously Florida had a coaching change, and that just lets you know we were one of the top two.
Absolutely,
and he was just like, he came on a visit and we sat down. And the one thing about Woody, man, is he is a joy to be around. Hopefully you can get down here, man, and get to be around him, man. He's a joy to be around. And when we get guys on visits, man, he's so genuine and he's such a good person. He's actually really funny. I just think he has that something about him that draws kids in, and I think it's his realness. I think it's his ability to tell a kid, hey man, this is what you need to work on, and I want to help you work on it, and I want to help you reach your dream. So it really, none of them are easy recruitments, man. None of them, because you're battling against other people, man. You got people saying this about you, people saying that about you, but I think because we work so well together and we all just kind of hit each other's recruits up, all right, this week you call my guys, this week I call your guys. So they see the camaraderie of what we're trying to do and the camaraderie of the staff. And a lot of times it's not like that everywhere, man.
Definitely. You touched on JHS, man. Try to get JHS on the show, man. I think he said he was locked in. So you tell him, holler at me, because I got some jewels I want to drop.
One thing I'll say, AJ, with him, if you shoot him a text and talk to him, he is a regimented kid, man. Like he's a pro.
Yeah.
Man, he's a pro. He's a pro in his approach to life. He's a pro in his approach to basketball. So he's like, he eats right. He's always in the gym. He take care of his body. I mean, the kid's a pescatarian because he wants to stay lean. And so he's a pro, man. He approaches like basketball life like a pro, man. So if he told you that, it was probably because he really is like locked in. It's not like, I don't want to talk to him. It's like, I'm locked in. I'm looking at film. That's him, man. It's
I heard it.
It's amazing.
Hand, but I get it. I'm not. I say, man, I'll get it through you. Yeah, man. Holler at him. I want to drop some jewels on him, man.
I will.
And show him love. But when you look at him, you said he's a pro. When you look at his mature game, who does it remind you of? And how can he have that major impact on a team that, he's already done it. I can see it. But explain to the people what they're seeing.
I always say when I see you talking about like his pro comparison?
Yeah.
Malcolm Brogdon.
Okay.
But with a little, with more wiggle. You know what I mean? A guy that could play the point, the two. Obviously he wants to be a lead guard, and obviously him and X, they bounce it off each other. They've been doing a great job of doing both. Because as you know as well as I know, man, ain't nobody playing positions no more.
Exactly. Right.
It's just get it and go. Whoever get it, go. And that's how we are. So, that's the guy who I see him, his pro comparison to me is Malcolm Brogdon, and just the way his cerebral approach to the game and how he studies the game, and how he's a guy that you can fit him in. And because of his passing ability and his knowledge of the game, he can play with anybody. And that's what that's kind of my comparison.
Who I was looking forward to seeing a lot more of is CJ Gunn. What's his ceiling, man? And where is he at in his development? Because I remember watching highlights of him throughout the Indiana high school season. Dude, lighting it up. You guys were struggling shooting the basketball. I'm like, wait till this kid come. I think he gonna bring that moxie and that ability to make not just people don't understand. You can't just make set shots. Sometimes as a bucket, you gotta make tough shots.
And that's what he does. And
definitely. Does that. What's his ceiling, man?
I think CJ got a chance to be really, really good, man. I think he got a chance to be a special player here in Indiana. Obviously, his minutes are not probably as high as he would want, which is understandable. But it's like you talked about earlier in the podcast, man. It's patience.
Yeah.
Patience. Because guess what? A lot of these guys are leaving this year. So
exactly.
you gotta learn the ropes, learn about college. Learn the ins and outs of college from academic standpoint, from a basketball standpoint. But he gonna be special, man. He got a chance to be special because he has that. you know, for lack of a better term,
Mhm.
he don't give a damn.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
He just go play. Yeah,
Yeah.
he go play. You know, he is a scorer. He plays hard. He plays tough. He is going to be a guy that's remembered at Indiana.
Absolutely. What has to happen for this team to reach that full potential that everybody's talking about?
We got to bring it every day, man.
Mhm.
We got to bring it every day, and we got to think like champions. You know,
Yeah.
you got to think like a champion. You
Right.
know, but you got to prepare like a champion.
Mhm.
And you know, winning it's not easy. It's probably the hardest thing to do, because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. You know, so they have to create winning habits, which I think we're helping them with, and I think we're getting better at it. You know, for us to reach our full potential, man, we have to attack every day like, you know, we're trying to win a championship.
Yeah.
And Woody, it's funny, man, because I've never been around a guy like this. Last year, he said, I want to win a Big Ten title and a national championship.
Yeah.
That's what we preach every day.
Mhm.
Anything less is not acceptable.
Right.
So that's what we say. We talk about that every single day.
Mhm.
Winning the Big Ten title, winning the championship. So
Right.
we're trying to create that mindset. Now we got some tough games
Absolutely.
that we got to go win. You
Yeah.
know, so we gotta, last year I think we learned how to win in the Big Ten tournament, winning big games. And I think we have what it takes this year, because we have an understanding of some of those games we lost last year that we let slip away. So hopefully, that's in our guys' memory banks, and they understand, like, that last minute what you got to do when you get ready to go on the road, AJ, as you know, because you play. When you go on the road, man, you got to be a different animal. You don't
Absolutely.
just go on the road to win. I don't care what team you going to play. Hell, whoever, Minnesota, who was at the bottom of the conference last year, like, those
Yep.
are tough wins.
Absolutely.
You got to be able to go win on the road, and I think winning on the road is what's going to help us catapult to where we need to be.
I know you play a tough schedule. You mentioned it earlier, man. You got Xavier coming in. I've always watched Xavier on TV just over my years. I'm like, that just seems like a hard place to play.
Yes,
They've
the
always
Centos. The
watching that
Centos.
Xavier Cincinnati rivalry, man. I was like,
You remember when they got the fight?
yep, I
You
remember
remember when
that.
they
Yeah,
got the...
absolutely. I remember
Yeah.
all of that. I'm like, that's one
Yeah.
of them rivalries. So what is the mindset? What type of team does Xavier have this year? And what is going to be your mindset going in playing in that Rockets environment?
I mean, obviously, these guys being in the Big Ten, man. I mean, you play against the one thing, and this is not to knock anywhere that I've been. In the Big Ten, man, the crowd show up.
Oh, every night. Yeah,
Everywhere
every
you
night.
go, it's a crowd. I'm like, damn, it's
Exactly.
sold out here. Damn, it's sold out here. Being in the SEC a little bit, man, it's just like, okay, everybody kind of starts showing up after January, after football season
Yeah, the
over.
football
But
season, right.
so obviously the Centos where we play is a hard place to play. Xavier they play really hard. I coached against Sean Miller when I was at Oregon, when he was at Arizona. So I kind of got familiarity with, the toughness that he try to get his guys to play with. So it's gonna be a tough game for us. It's gonna be a battle over there, man. But we're gonna be ready. We're gonna make sure we're ready to go, and just we understand the assignment, and hopefully we can come out of there with a win.
Absolutely, man. And back to you, man. Do you have aspirations of being a head coach one day? You know what I mean?
I
Is that
do.
on your radar?
I do, man. I do want to be a head coach. I do want to have that opportunity. I hope, with some success here in Indiana, that I will have that opportunity, man. But it's something that I'm looking forward to trying to, progress in my career, and one day have my own program, man, and try to see if I can do this thing. Everybody say it's hard to move 6 inches over to the right.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I heard that
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Definitely. If there's a kid out there, man, who's a dream to be a coach at the collegiate level, trying to get going, man, what steps would you advise those kids to take in order to get a jump start into realizing that dream?
Relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships, build relationships. Obviously, understanding a lot of times, in school, everybody don't like school.
Yeah.
But you got to show that you can complete something. It helps you. It helps you get organized. It helps you learn time management and things of that nature. So I'll always say, obviously try to do as well as you can in school. I'm not sitting up here trying to act like I made straight A's, because I didn't. I didn't love school either. I love basketball. So in order to play basketball, I had to go to school. But I say it's about relationships, man, trying to reach out to coaches, trying to do as many camps as you can do, trying to just touch as many people that's involved in basketball. Always try to give out your number. Always try to get somebody's number. These guys, it's funny, early on in my career, I used to write head coaches letters. Now they can text. You can get coaches' numbers. So you got to try to build as many relationships as you can, man, because this business is about relationships, and people are always trying to find people that work hard and people that they can trust.
Absolutely. Well, once again, man, we got Coach Yaz on, man, dropping these jewels and gems about basketball, life, and coaching. Hey, man, you got a great team over there. We're looking forward to all I ask is the Hoosiers to play hard, give it your all, man, and be kind to the fans, be kind to your teammates, be a family, and give it the best shot you can, man. You live with the results. So I'm glad to hear that, guys are building a championship culture over there, man. And I appreciate you jumping on real quick with us. And I want to let you get back to your scout, because these people will kill me if they know you paused your scout to pop it up in the House of Hoosier on podcast.
Hey, I'm still in the office, man. I ain't going nowhere right now. We'll be fine. I'm going to be all right.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you once again, man. Thank you for joining the show, man, and good luck Friday, brother.
And hopefully, when you get some time, man, you come back up here, man, because, everybody, we trying to bring everybody together, man, to get these guys to understand what it is to be a Hoosier, man.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. I will be there, man. I got you. Thank you.
All right, brother. All right. Take care.